Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call the July Finance Committee meeting to order, please. I understand there are no public comments, so the first order of business is the approval of the minutes of our June 25th meeting. May I please have a motion?
Motion is made.
And a second, please. All in favor? Opposed? Minutes are approved. Doug, would you go through the work plan if there's any changes?
Yeah, there's no change to the work plan. No public speakers, what you said. We don't do a budget watch. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
we're not doing a budget watch this month. Typically, we don't do it in the month where we have a financial plan presentation. That will be done by Bob on Wednesday. So next on the agenda would be the Finance Watch.
So go ahead, Patrick.
Pat's here for that.
Pat, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Finance Watch appears on Roman numeral 4-1 of your committee book this morning. Just have a couple transactions to report on. First is that the state undertook a refunding of a substantial part of the outstanding service contract bonds, the O2As and the O2Bs. And as you can see here, that was accomplished through the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York issued that refunding. So there's a much smaller amount of those bonds remaining outstanding. On June 28th, we undertook a $1.2 billion refunding of outstanding transportation revenue bonds. We called this the 2012 D series. These were all refunding bonds, and this is the first of our what we call our currently callable candidates that we'll be taking out this year. As you can see here, we effected refundings of the 2002 A's as well as portions of the 2002 E's. These were all issued as fixed-rate bonds with the final maturity of 2032. We estimate gross savings of $266 million, or NPV savings of $201 million. The all-in TIC was 3.51%, and this transaction was led by our book-running senior manager, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. Turning to the next page, on July 12th, we priced $650 million of transportation revenue bonds, 2012 E as in Edgar. These were new money bonds approved by the board at the June meeting, and due to a very favorable market conditions, we increased the size from our planned issue of $500 million to $650 million. We did this all at an all-in true interest cost of 3.91%, as you can see here, with an average life of 18.94 years. This was structured as just our level debt, as we normally do our new money issues. And this transaction was led by Jeffries and Company, our senior manager. Turning to the next page, we, consistent with our monthly strategy on fuel, we executed a $7.5 million diesel fuel hedge. This was competitively bid, and Goldman Sachs, Jay Aaron, won the bid on this pricing, an all-in price of 2.696 cents per gallon, $2.69 per gallon. And there's a full report at the back of the committee book on where we stand with all of our hedges. And then I just wanted to point out there's a new transaction that we're preparing to enter the market with. This is on the Triborough Bridge and Tunnel Authority general revenue credit. We're anticipating a mailing later this week after the release of the financial plan. Pricing next week, next Tuesday, Wednesday, of approximately $1.1 billion in TBTA general revenue bonds. This will be a current refunding of primarily of the 2002 B bonds of TBTA. Happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Pat?
Alan?
Yeah, maybe a little off topic, but the current LIBOR situation, how, if at all, does that affect us?
The ongoing situation with the LIBOR investigation, we believe does have an impact on the MTA. we're studying what that impact is, quite frankly. It's we're following what's happening with the regulators both in England, here, and in the United States, and keeping up to date with reports and analyses that are being released. We expect that process to continue for some time. In the meantime, we're also studying our own debt portfolio and where LIBOR does impact our outstanding debt. And there are a number of places where it does, obviously in our synthetic fixed rate portfolio, where we have swaps that are keyed to the LIBOR rate, as well as in the auction rate portfolio, where we have bonds that are failing at auction rates that are keyed to a % of LIBOR.
I noticed that the State Attorney General was looking to bring an action on behalf of the city and the state. Does that cover us too, or?
Our council is reviewing all of our options. It may cover us, it may not. We're working closely. We've been in touch with the city about this. We realize how important this situation is and how critical it is that we protect the assets and everything of the MTA. All I can tell you right now is that it's with council, and we're evaluating all of our options at this point in time.
Thank you, Jim.
And I can just add to that we have been in communication with the Office of the Attorney General concerning the LIBOR investigation. In communication with them, we're also monitoring a number of existing class action lawsuits that are consolidated in the zoning districts, and we'll be very careful to protect the
Hi, Pat. Do you have the data, or could you get me the data? I'm curious what the savings were on the refunding of the service contract bonds through the PIT program.
I can provide that for you offline. I'd be happy to send all the numbers if that's necessary. Okay.
Okay, anything else? Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the procurements, and Doug, would you take us through those?
Headquarters, sure, headquarters and all agency items. There are no reports and information items for headquarters, so moving to procurements, we have 4 procurements for headquarters, 1 non-competitive, 3 competitive, for a grand total of $7,813,375.
Motion, please. Second, please. All in favor? Any opposed? So moved.
Great. Next on the agenda, we have Metro North and Long Island Railroad Committee items. For Metro North, there is 1 competitive procurement for $3,302,720. For Long Island Railroad, there are 2 non-competitive procurements for $656,253, and 1 competitive procurement for an RFP amount to be determined.
Okay. Motion made. Second, please. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried.
Thanks. Next is MTA bus operations. There's 1 non-competitive and 1 competitive procurement for New York City Transit for a grand total of $41,118,720.
Motion, please. Second. All in favor? Opposed? So moved.
Thanks. New York City Transit is next. We have 6 procurements for a grand total of $291,379,899. 3 are non-competitive, 1 of which is combined procurement with Long Island and Metro North for $37,959,999, and 3 competitive procurements for $253,419,900.
I just want to say that they're on page 9-6, the procurement for the bearings for the Transit Authority, Bearing Distributors Incorporated. This was a procurement that was done through the e-process, and apparently the results weren't very good, which is, I guess, the first time, Bob, that this has happened, that we've had a problem like this.
No, I think this is one of several that I believe Transit is going through kind of on a pilot program to look at various categories of expenses. And on this particular one, it turned out that the results were not as good under the e-procurement as they were in the traditional manner. And so what we're going to be doing, Andrew, is working with Transit and with others that are involved in the e-procurement at the Business Center to kind of go through and evaluate what seems to work and what isn't working, and is there a change in methodology, or is it really the commodity itself that lends itself in some cases to. So we will get back to you with kind of a report on
What
where we
happened
stand.
here, right? Because this, to me, was one of the ones. A lot of these used to be sole source, where their equipment for rail cars and stuff like that. And I felt that this was really important, that the e-commerce, because I thought it would really open up some new possible vendors to us that hadn't bid before, and I was very disappointed that apparently this thing wasn't successful. So in conversation when we had our pre-meeting, I asked Bob to please spend some time and get to the bottom of it and see what happened, and hopefully at the September meeting, Bob, you could report back
Certainly.
to us as to why you feel this happened, plus or minus, and what have we learned from it.
Certainly.
Andrew, we actually discussed that fairly at length at the Transit Committee, and Steve Plochacki was instrumental in explaining what happened. So if you see him, he can probably ease
But
your
Bob's
mind a little bit.
I would like Bob to to come back. So anyhow, do we have a motion, please, and a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Yeah, there's nothing for FIMTAC, so that would conclude the finance portion of the meeting.
Okay. Jeff, you're up on the real estate.
Thanks, Andrew. We have a total of 14 action items this month, of which 8 are leases or licenses out. There's an employee cafeteria at 207th Street Yard, a newsstand at Astor Place Station, a store at 1368 East Gun Hill Road, use of a portion of land next to the 38th Street Yard for a school recreation area, taxi parking in Hicksville at the station there, and storage and parking near the right-of-way in Garden City and at Arch Street Yard, and the annual tribute in light at the Battery Park Garage. With respect to the latter, I would just note that in the past years this has been done by the Municipal Art Society. We just got word today that Municipal Art Society will no longer be running Tribute in Light, and I believe National September 11 Memorial and Museum will be doing that. So as, I guess, an amendment to the staff summary, I would just note that our intention would be to extend that arrangement with the museum. There are 3 leases in this month, one for Metro North employee parking. It's at the Springdale Maintenance Facility in Stamford. That's adjoining a CDOT facility that has inadequate parking. It's some 15 minutes walk from the nearest train station, so there's really no alternative to providing parking there. We have a proposed new lease for Transit's Electronics Maintenance Division at 2976 Northern Boulevard. That is in furtherance of the emptying of the building at J Street. And finally, a small storefront on 2nd Avenue for a 2nd Avenue Subway Community Information Center. We have a request for authorization to extend for 1 year our contracts with Jones Lang LaSalle and Williams Jackson Ewing to avoid a change in our retail team at Grand Central during the 2013 centennial year. We had some discussion of that at Railroad and Railroad Committee, and Metro North is strongly in favor of that proposal. And finally, we are requesting authorization to make some amendments to the Transit Wireless agreement to accommodate bank financing and an August start, and envision that we should have 30 stations, the next 30 stations outfitted for cellular and Wi-Fi by the end of the year. I'd be glad to take questions about any of those that are detailed in the staff summaries, and Jerry Page is here also to answer any questions about Transit Wireless.
May we please have a motion to approve these agreements and leases? So moved. Second, please. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Thanks very much.
Also, you were going to make an announcement.
Yeah, well, Andrew asked me about the progress of our office right-sizing initiative. I'm very pleased to say that it's been coming together nicely. We are zeroing in on final set of recommendations around Metro North relocation. We're pretty deep into planning and design for a restack of 2 Broadway, and expect to be out with an RFP for proposals to ground lease this property in the fall. So we'll come back to you in September with, I think, a reasonably comprehensive description of our overall planning and the various components.
I just want to say that in speaking to Jeff in the pre-meeting, I mean, I think that he's really he and his team, the whole team, doing a really good job in executing the plan that we all laid out and approved, over the last, a year ago, I guess. And I think you'll be very happy when you see this. I know Joe, he may want to say something, because I know he's very involved in this, pushing this along, too. So it's moving, frankly. It's a lot faster than I thought it would even be, and I think you'll be very happy with the results.
Only thing I'll say is Jeff and his team are doing a great job, and pretty soon the board meetings and the committee meetings will be at 2 Broadway as soon as we build it. Thanks.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Joe.
And I think also it's going to entail cleaning up a lot of these leases and different offices we have all over the place. It's going to be consolidated. It's really what we hoped for many years here, having been here a while. So, Jeff, that's great.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to the September report. Okay, I think that's it then. We need to go into executive session. We need a motion to discuss. Jim Henley asked for this to discuss litigation.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, great. Can you please clear the room?